We did the periodization plan for Division I college football linemen. First mesocycle consists of off-season training. Some of the details for the off-season, it's usually the longest mesocycle. There's limited use of sport-specific skills. Testing is performed at the beginning and again at the end of the off-season, and the highest priority during the off-season is resistance training. The off-season exercises consist of two main categories. The core exercises being power clean, back squat, bench press, deadlift, shoulder press, front squat, and incline press. And some of the assistance exercises, just for example, are leg raises, calf raises, bent over rows, bicep curls, flat dumbbell flies, and triceps extensions. The routine in this instance is going to be utilizing split training. So there's going to be an upper body day and a lower body day, 2 of each in a week for a total of 4 lifting sessions every week. There's 4 phases in the off-season. The first is hypertrophy and endurance. The second is basic strength. The third is advanced strength. And the fourth is the power phase. During the hypertrophy phase, there's low to moderate intensity, so 50 to 75% of the 1 rep max. High to moderate volume, which is 3 to 6 sets, 10 to 20 repetitions. And during the hypertrophy phase, you want to utilize small rest periods, so 30 seconds to less than 1.5 minutes. And during the hypertrophy phase, you want to use 8 exercises for each day. The next phase is the basic strength phase. This utilizes high intensity, so 80 to 90% of the 1 rep max, moderate volume, which is 3 to 5 sets, 4 to 8 repetitions, longer rest periods, which is 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes, and 6 exercises should be used during this phase. The next phase after that is the advanced strength phase. Once again, consists of high intensity, 80 to 90% of the 1 rep max, low volume, which is 3 to 5 sets, 2 to 5 repetitions, longer rest periods again, which is 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and a total of 4 exercises in this phase. The last phase is the power phase. It's going to be using very high intensity, which is greater than 93%, very low volume, which is 1 to 3 sets, 1 to 3 repetitions, and again, 3 to 5 minutes rest periods. During the power phase, the exercises should consist of only core power exercises. To wrap up the off-season, assuming that the Division I football lineman is at an advanced training age, the entire program would look something like this. The whole entire mesocycle would have a hypertrophy training phase, a basic strength training phase, an advanced strength training phase, and a power phase in that order. Each training phase is completed for 2 weeks, and when the final phase is completed, the cycle is repeated a second time around, accounting for a 16-week off-season. This is an example of what the hypertrophy phase would look like. The basic strength phase, the advanced strength phase, and finally the power phase.
Preseason workout plan for said college football player. Time period, typically preseason length is 6 weeks, usually starting in late July or early August. The goals of the preseason to increase the intensity of sport-specific training, the attention gives to football drills and skills. Volume, the resistance training portion would be planned for 3 times a week and focus on the power and strength outcomes. Monday would be the heavy day, Wednesday would be the light day, and Friday would be the medium day. Power exercises would be 4x5, core would be 3x6, and assistant exercises 2x10. Rest period, at least 1 to 2 days of rest should be given between resistant training sessions. It's just a general outline of a week-long resistant training program. Example.
All right, for the in-season workout plan for a college football player. The time period will be usually 4 months, 16 weeks. The season will generally go from late August to December, and then if you make playoffs, it could extend into January. All right, so the goals for the in-season, this is a competition period where you'll be doing, competition versus other teams. So you're definitely going to want to maintain your strength and what you gained over the off season. So this is the maintenance phase. You're going to maintain flexibility, power, and aerobic conditioning. The volume, due to the body taking a beating during the season, your resistance training will occur 1 to 2 times a week for about 30 to 45 minutes, and usually consists of a full body lift. And then on the non-resistive training days, you're going to do about 15 to 20 minutes of light sprinting intervals, and plyometrics can be performed to maintain speed and agility. So usually with the game on Saturday, your lift will be on Wednesday, and conditioning will be on Sunday. The game on Friday, you usually lift on Tuesday and condition on Sunday. For the rest periods, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 days of rest should be given between resistance training sessions, plyometrics, and sprint intervals. So the days of rest will depend on your game schedule. So if you have a game on Saturday, conditioning will be on Sunday, lift will be on Wednesday. That way you have 2 days of rest between each run and lift. And here's a general outline of your season. Usually you have a game on Saturday, you'll condition, do your plyometrics on Sunday, then you'll have an off day on Monday, then you'll go back to practice on Tuesday and practice Wednesday with a lift, and then practice Thursday, and then you'll have a travel day Friday, and another game Saturday. And here's just your basic microcycle for the in-season. This was 4 weeks long. You see you have the your workout and then your conditioning on the right. Here's another microcycle. Keep going. And if your team reaches the playoffs, obviously you go back and repeat microcycle number 1.
Okay, so next part of the season would be the postseason, or the second transition, and it starts after the completion of the regular season at the last game. There's a period of active rest with no formal or structured workouts before the start of the off-season or preparatory period. What you want to have is low intensity, low volume training, and nothing really football related. More specifics, it usually lasts from about 1 to 4 weeks. It's very important to avoid aggressive training after peaking during the season. Important to avoid overtraining after working so hard during the regular season and taking that beating that you would take during a football season. It allows the athlete to recover physically and mentally and avoid overtraining syndrome. Rehab exercises may be performed if there are any lingering injuries and you want to consult a physical therapist about that. Possible activities during this time period include swimming, jogging, circuit training, volleyball, racquetball, and basketball. Again, stress, low intensity, low volume. It's important to stay physically active to avoid atrophy, which can start in a couple weeks. And if you would choose to do basketball, for example, you would not want to do anything really structured. Just play with your friends, not playing in like a organized basketball league that's very competitive. The next topic I want to talk about is biomechanical considerations and injury prevention in our program. It's always important to check the athlete's lifting techniques before you implement any training plan, especially for any incoming freshmen, because you may not know what type of experience they may have. The proper progressions can be used for the lifts, such as the snatch and clean like we did in lab. Special attention is usually given to the back, shoulders, and knees, since the back muscles operate at a low mechanical advantage. The textbook recommends a normal, slightly arched position of the back. Also susceptible to injury are the knees. The patella and the structures in contact with it are the most susceptible, and you want to listen to your athlete. If they're complaining about injuries, it could be time to scale back on the weight that's being used, or use a foam roller. Lastly, the shoulder is prone to injury during training. It's a ball and socket joint, so it has a great range of motion, but with the great range of motion comes less stability. So in order to prevent injury there, you want to make sure that you got a proper warm-up. Balance your push and pull exercises to keep that joint stable and controlled speeds. A clear concentric and eccentric phase for the lift. Don't just drop the weight on your chest. Here I got an example of a hypertrophy phase. Here you can see, for example, the Friday upper body plan does a great job balancing the push and pull exercises. The bench press is balanced with the lat pull down. You got the shoulder press and bend over row, sort of balancing out those push and pull exercises. And then lastly, this is another example that we used, that we showed you earlier in the presentation. You can see we got a nice warm up here with some long striders, high knees, butt kickers, for example, and then after the workout's over, you would have the foam roller and stretching. And that's it.